Hello, I'm Brian Painter, columnist of the Oklahoman, and today I'm joined by Bruce Fisher of the Oklahoma History Center. This is Black History Month, but at the center they celebrate that history every day. That has not always been the case in Bruce's life. In fact, when preparing for a Black History program during his senior year in high school, a vice principal mentioned that you may need a speaker who could articulate the issues related to the struggles of African Americans. What'd you tell him, Bruce?
It was Dr. Melvin Todd, and he said we needed a speaker that could articulate the struggle of African Americans, who could make a good talk, and I thought for a second and said, I don't know anybody like that, unknowing at that time who my mother really was.
Who was your mother?
My mom was Ada Scipio Fisher, and she was the first African American admitted to the University of Oklahoma Law School, but her admission was not easy. It took a civil rights court case that worked its way through the county courts in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Supreme Court, where we lost, and finally to the U.S. Supreme Court, where she ruled, she prevailed. And after that, she was admitted to the OU Law School, became the first African American to be admitted and the first to graduate from OU's Law School.
How long was it before you really absorbed this and really realized who she was and the impact she had had?
Well, growing up, I knew people treated my mom, special, but I thought that all parents were treated special. So it really didn't register to me that it was anything exceptionally special until I escorted her to a funeral in 1971 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. By then, I was a sophomore at Langston University, and the funeral was for a guy named Amos Hall. As it turns out, he was one of the attorneys in the Scipio case. And the guy that I met that was so special at that funeral was a man named Thurgood Marshall, who was my mom's attorney. And my mom was standing in the crowd, and we got there a little late, and the people were lined up outside, and I heard my mom say, Thurgood. And this guy turned around and said, Sip, which was my mom's nickname. And he ran over to her and hugged her, and I was watching this whole thing. And so after it was over with, on the way back, so they left and went on into the funeral. On the way back, I was saying, well, what was that all about? And then she began to explain to me what I had heard many times before about the story of her admission to the University of Oklahoma. But until that happened, did I really begin to put all of the pieces together.
What does this mean, using this as an example? What does this mean in the importance of getting out the message of that rich Black history in Oklahoma, of getting it out to children and tomorrow's children? What does this mean?
It means that we really need to do a better job, I think, of celebrating the contributions of diversity that we have in Oklahoma. We have, I think our young people are in jeopardy today because they don't have the benefit of knowing our history. Unfortunately, they look for role models either between themselves or on TV, when we've got actually fantastic role models in our history, whether it's in the area of sports with people like Marcus Haynes and the Cudjoe twins, who were the Harlem Globetrotters of early day that led to the NBA players that we have today, great aviators like Thomas Allen, J. Herman Banning, the first Black aviators to fly transcontinental across any continent in the world, whether it's scholars like Edmund Page or John Hope Franklin. But all of these are from Oklahoma. And we've got these fantastic heroes and sheroes like my mom and Clara Luper, but our young people don't know that we have these heroes in our past. So we really need to do a better job of perpetuating this rich history that we have and give them some alternatives for heroes and role models that they can look to.
You're an example that there's definite hope, because right now history bubbles inside you, and at one time history wasn't important to you at all, was it?
It was not. Well, I think it reminded me of a saying that my mom said that Thurgood Marshall used to always tell her, that smart people are people that can take something simple and take something complicated and make it simple. And not somebody can take something simple and make it complicated. And what I have tried to do is to take the complicated stories of our past and turn them into something very simple and easy for people to understand. And when I do that, then the story gets to be interesting and it gets to be easy to understand. And young people seem to relate to that.
Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.